I just spent the last 4 days in Chicago, Illinois, one of my favorite cities in the entire world. You know I had to do some fragrance shopping while I was there. I hit up the Labo store, I went to Bloomingdales, and I also went to Citadel Perfumes, which we'll get into it later. I got to try a whole bunch of new fragrances that have just hit the market, as well as some classics, staple fragrances I had not had the chance to sample before. Finally got a chance to test a few of them out in store. So here to talk about it, let's get into it. The first place on my list that I knew I wanted to go in Chicago in terms of fragrance shopping was Le Labo. Santal 33 was my introduction to niche fragrances, and it still will always be one of my all-time favorite fragrances just because of, you know, the first cut is the deepest. Their storefront is absolutely beautiful, and I got to try a whole bunch of fragrances from their line, and I really got to experience what their brand is all about. They have this very rustic but minimalistic type of brand, and I think that translates from just the aesthetic of the storefront as well as into their fragrances, their bottling, their labeling, and the style of the fragrances that they produce. One thing I'll say about all of the Le Labo fragrances is that they don't smell like perfumes. They don't smell like cologne. They smell like organic compounds in a way. And so it's almost like, you know, if you were to wear one of these fragrances and someone was to compliment you on them, I don't think they would say, oh, your cologne smells good. I think they say something more along the lines of, I think they'd say you smell good. Some fragrance content creators that I really love have been hyping up Noir 29. So I went in basically just to go and sample that one in particular. And it actually it was a little bit of a sour eucalyptus type of scent for me. It really wasn't my style, but I did get a chance to go and try all the different fragrances. They had some seasonal options as well as their regular staples that they always have. And surprisingly enough, one of my favorite ones that I found was Patchouli 24. I have gone on record saying that I think patchouli is one of my least favorite notes personally. When it gets used in a synthetic way in designer and like cologne fragrances, I really can't stand it. I feel like it ruins a lot of designer fragrances, and I just really don't like it. It's like sour to me. But something about this patchouli fragrance, it was done in a way, in a style that really was extremely well done. Patchouli 24 had a very smoky and earthy type of scent profile to it. And it was in line with a lot of their other offerings where I feel like it smells like an organic compound and less of a fragrance per se. So in a lot of ways, I kind of found myself eating my own words and kind of, I guess, coming back around on patchouli in general. I guess if it's well done, and I guess the niche fragrance houses kind of do it better than the designers, obviously. And yeah, I loved it. I'm not even gonna lie. Another one that really stood out to me was Tobacco 28. If you like tobacco fragrances, this one is really strong and powerful. When I sprayed it on myself and my girlfriend took a sniff off of my arm, she was like, oh, it was like too much for her. So definitely more of a, I would say something that maybe the gentleman may prefer more, but it definitely smelled like I was literally smelling like the leaf of like a really, really high-end, rich cigar. I don't know how to explain it other than I feel like I'm smelling the organic compound of the fragrance and not, you know, not like a cologne version, not like Jazz Club, for example, where they're gonna mix in boozy notes and vanilla and whatnot and make it smell like a date night fragrance. No, this smells like a tobacco leaf. Next, I went over to Bloomingdales. I don't have any videos that I can show you from when I was at Bloomingdales because they don't particularly like when you film in Bloomingdales, but I got to try out the rest of the Parfums de Marly line and some of the not so popular offerings that Parfums de Marly has to offer. I'm a huge Parfums de Marly fan, and so I was really excited to be able to kind of go down the line and test some of the fragrances that you don't really hear as much about. Obviously, everyone hears about Sedley and Leighton, but you know, who's really talking about Haultain and Perseus and Pegasus Exclusive and Leighton Exclusive? So I got to try all those, and so a couple of thoughts I had. Number one, Haultain is just a fucking masterpiece. It's so good. Like, to me, Haultain is this really mature, rich, woody, saffron almost type of fragrance with a little bit of oud in there, but the oud is like tame, it's synthetic, it's not like animalic in any type of way. It doesn't smell disgusting to me. Really, really beautiful fragrance. I think this will be my next full bottle purchase from the Parfums de Marly line, and yeah, just an absolute pleasure. I've sampled Layton, and so I was interested in trying Layton Exclusive, and when I tried it, I realized it's totally different. It's not like a twist on the original DNA. At least off the tester strip, it didn't seem like it. It actually seemed like a very pine, like a dry, woody pine fragrance. So kind of moving away from that like menthol style that the original Layton has, and moving more towards something that actually kind of reminded me more of like a well-refined, mature version of like a YSL Lay Parfum. The new one, the pine version of it. And I like the pine note a lot, so this is something that I'm probably going to end up ordering a decant and a sample from, wearing it on skin, and this may be next in the queue. After that, I tried Pegasus and Pegasus Exclusive, and off the tester strip, I could not tell a difference between the two. I did some research online, and I don't know, I guess there's like a couple of notes that maybe you get in the mid and the dry down in the exclusive version that you don't get in the original. A beautiful floral vanilla almond style fragrance. Really mass appealing, really well done. I was a huge fan. I think I would also need to test these two on skin to kind of determine, all right, well, which one of the two is really worth getting? How do they compare to one another? Like, it sends you down a whole nother rabbit hole. Next, I tried Ojan and Carlisle, two fragrances I've read a lot about, but I've never sampled before. And just off the tester strip, I thought they were really, really well done, like everything is in the entire Parfums de Marly line. But it's something that I think I would need to order a decant of. I think they were a little more challenging to a degree where it's not a safe blind buy. And to me, even just smelling off of a tester strip just one time in store is really not enough to determine whether or not I'm gonna like either one of these. I thought they were both good, but like I said, I think going the decant route for some of these fragrances is probably the right move. After that, I headed over to the Creed booth to try out the new Oud Zarian fragrance, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I hadn't done any research on this. I had just seen quite a few people posting about it, and it's definitely not a safe blind buy. That's what I would say. I guess unless you're gonna collect Creed fragrances and you just kind of want to have every single Creed fragrance. To me, Oud Zarian, another like just challenging, dense, extremely strong oud fragrance that I would really need to wear on skin to determine whether or not I would want to buy a full-size bottle of that. But definitely a high-quality fragrance. It's Creed. Obviously, their stuff is good, but that's about all I can say on that one. Another newer release that I was really excited to try was the new Gucci Guilty Elixir Absolu. It's now got this gradient style bottle. The original Gucci Guilty Elixir is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I think it is an absolute masterpiece. It will always have a place in my collection. I think it is just so good. It's not a safe blind buy, and I get why people may dislike it, but to me, that fragrance is like, that is what a designer fragrance is supposed to do for me. That's what a designer should be. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's a really beautiful leather and vanilla noted fragrance, but honestly, it's one of those ones where the fragrance itself is greater than the sum of its parts, if that makes sense. So it's a, like I said, vanilla and leathery type of fragrance. And honestly, when I sampled the new version of it, compared to the amount of times that I've wore the original Absolu, I could not notice a difference. When I smelled it on the strip, I said, it's the same fragrance in my mind. And again, I'm just testing off a strip, so I'm not doing like a full deep dive side-by-side comparison of them, but first initial impression, it's not that different from the original. Now, the last fragrance house I stopped by to check out at Bloomingdales was Bond No.9. Now, this is obviously a super popular fragrance house, but just not one that I've spent a whole lot of time exploring. I made sure to try some of their most popular offerings, so Bond No.9 Lafayette Street, Greenwich Village, but the one Bond No.9 fragrance that really stuck out to me, and this may be one of their more, I don't want to, maybe generic, mass appealing offerings, was Bond No.9 Beekman Place. This to me, it's definitely an everyday freshie type of fragrance, but it had a scent profile that was unique. So to me, I'm really interested when I find like this, a mass appealing, popular style of fragrance. So, you know, like a citrusy, sweet, freshie. You know, everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say that. But I looked up the notes, and there's just a shit ton of notes, and it definitely has a unique scent profile that's different than anything else I've smelled before. So I've added that to my queue as well as bottles that I'm definitely interested in getting a full-size one of. After Bloomingdale's, I took a trip over to Zara, and Zara was the department store fragrances that I was buying when I couldn't afford anything, when I had no money. So I always do like to go to Zara fragrances. They do a really, really good job. They hire actual well-respected perfumers to make their fragrances, and they have just so many different offerings and options in their line. So to me, it was a no-brainer to go check them out. I ended up buying 3 fragrances at Zara. One is For Him Black, which as soon as I got home and actually gave it a certified real wear, I knew immediately, oh, okay, this is YSL myself. I also picked up Sunset on the Desert Intense, and I felt like this fragrance is very, very similar in style to Stronger With You Sandalwood. Now, after I did a little bit of research, I realized that the Zara fragrance actually came out a year before Stronger With You Sandalwood. So if you like Zara fragrances and you've been interested in the Stronger With You Sandalwood edition, to me, Sunset on the Desert Intense is extremely close. Obviously, it's not going to be as good in terms of performance and longevity and things like that, but it definitely is doing the exact same thing. And the last one I picked up was Soul. I got this little tiny blue 1-ounce bottle for $12 at the counter at the very end when I was checking out. And another just generic blue, freshy, but just something about it, just really complex and compelling and really, really good, well-balanced sweetness and freshness. It doesn't last very long on my skin, but I have already found it to last multiple days on my clothes, which it doesn't even make sense. I'm not sure what about this fragrance is making it last so long on my clothes to where like I'm still smelling the fragrance with my clothes that are sitting in my laundry basket from when I wore it. But if I spray it on my skin, I notice it goes away rather quickly. So another great offering. I saw that they had one that was the Soul, the regular one that I got, as well as the winter edition that comes in a 2-pack. Honestly, if I could go back in time, I would have grabbed that instead of the other 2, but we're here now. And the last place I went on my fragrance journey in Chicago is a place that was right next to my hotel on Michigan Avenue called Citadel Perfumes. I had walked by it a few times. It caught my attention. I said, you know what? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to check out Citadel Perfumes and see what they've got going on. So in their storefront, they've got all these different fragrance oils that are hung up on the walls. Now, in the front of the store, you can see all their oils that are designed to be dupes, and they tell you exactly what it is that they're duping. And then you can sample the fragrance, and so they had like over 200 dupe offerings, and all of them were extremely high quality. All of them were very, very close. The ones that I sampled that were duping fragrances that I knew very well, they were all very, very, very close. They weren't synthetic, and it was just really cool to kind of see the entire operation. Now, in the back of the store, they had the build your own fragrance section, but something that they were offering that I've never seen before is they let you customize their dupe fragrances that they had in the front. So if you wanted to order, like let's say, I want Louis Vuitton Imagination. Let's say you want to add saffron or cinnamon or whatever note that you would want to add to that fragrance. You're able to have them take the oil from their dupe line and then add some oil of whatever individual note you would want. It's honestly insane. So you don't have to build your own fragrance from scratch necessarily. You can start with maybe like Blue Talisman or whatever fragrance that you like, and then add those additional notes and create your own twist on your favorite fragrance DNAs. And I thought that was something I've never seen before, and I thought it was awesome. So I actually ended up getting their dupe of Louis Vuitton L'Immensité, and I got their dupe of YSL Tuxedo, and they are both high quality, long lasting, and they were reasonably priced as well. I got each bottle was for a 50 ml was $50, and it was buy 3 get 1 free. So I got 2, and I let my girlfriend get 2. We were there for her birthday, so of course, I gotta get her some. She got Mojave Ghost, and she also got Killian's Good Girl Gone Bad, and she loves both of them as well. I'm gonna do a full-length video on my trip to the Labo store. I'm also gonna do a full-length video on the Citadel Perfumes, where I'm gonna talk more in depth about the entire experience. And so yeah, go ahead and check those videos out if that's something you're interested in. If you watch this entire video all the way through, thank you so much, because I know I've talked a lot. If you're in Chicago, these are definitely some places I would recommend checking out. I think next time I go back, I'm definitely going to try to do House of Dubai and House of Niche. Those were 2 places I wanted to go, but just didn't have the time to do it. So let me know what you think of all these fragrances in the comments section below. Let me know if there's any full fragrance deep dives you'd like to see on this channel. I'd always encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in content like this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the very next one. Peace.